Last week, I told y'all about me starting off my career, landing that first software engineering job, why financial freedom mattered to me, and some of the expensive mistakes I made right out the gate, like getting that $63,000 Tesla and having an expensive apartment that cost me $2,300 a month that wasn't even downtown Boston. So I want to go ahead and get into that experience of being in Boston where I learned that making good money and having good money are two different things, and where that one road trip changed my whole perspective. Moving into Boston for that software engineering job was definitely very exciting for me. But one of the things that quickly came to my attention was how much my lifestyle expenses like really blew up for me. I was paying $2,300 a month just for my rent, $975 a month for the car note, paying $400 a month for the car insurance. That might be a little bit off. That's why I paused there. I can't remember exactly what it was, but it wasn't cheap. And then the other thing I wanted to do was just try to explore to eat a little bit healthier. So I had used Sun Baskets, similar to like HelloFresh, to kind of have meals shipped to my door that I could cook for myself. But looking at that, it was like $150 a week that I was spending for that service. And on top of that, I work at Chewy. So Chewy is a place that really opened my eyes to being able to have great products for your pets. So one of the things I also focused on was spending a little bit more to have a better quality of life for my dog, with the changing his diet to have some better food, and obviously just doing some of the things to kind of help with the dogs. My dog's older at the time and he has an ear infection. So spending more money on that. And it just was interesting because all of these bills were like racking up, but in my head, I could afford it. Wasn't a big deal. Keep it moving. And really, the realization didn't happen until I started Ubering around in my Tesla, because I wanted to learn the city and get to know people, and might as well, while I'm doing that, make money at the same time. But then I realized the money I'm making, $600 here from Uber, $900 there from Uber, some weeks or other weeks, was actually being used to float the bills. And that's where I kind of had a realization that I really need to sit down and just start to budget, because I'm actually not able to just float these things because I have a software engineering job and it's making good money. Lo and behold, I found Mint. Mint is not available today anymore. It was discontinued, but it was an Intuit product in which I could use for free. Didn't have to pay any subscriptions or anything, and sync up all of my bank accounts to show how much I'm spending on certain things, and also set a budget for myself. Because one thing for me as a software engineer, I am a very lazy person. So if there's a way to automate it, I'm all for it. Which really my field, if you think about it, is just a way to write code to be able to automate or streamline processes that people do. So this is right up my alley. This is definitely one of the things that I used at that time. Even though Mint is discontinued today, I use a new product called Monarch. They were actually able to export my data from Mint over to Monarch and just keep me going there. It is a paid service. I can leave that link below, but just for others who want a budgeting tool, I definitely highly recommend them. I've been using them for about a year and a half now. No issues. Things have been great. But this is one of the realizations that I really just had to be like, oh, now I need to see how much I'm spending. And one of the things that it resulted in, and I'm just spending too much money on food. Like, I'm not going out for it, right? And I'm cooking it at home. I just need to learn to just look up some recipes myself and go buy these foods myself in bulk, because buying them and spending $150 a month for 3 or 4 good meals, it's just not worth it. So this was really just one of my first like realizations out in Boston, that something needed to change in order for me to keep moving and just keep things afloat as is. But I'm still not even in that mindset yet of I want to build my way towards financial freedom. And that is because really, I was focused on just being new to my job, an entry-level position as a software engineer, and just wanted to soak in as much as I can at the company. Because one thing I did know was that whatever knowledge that I learned at my current employer, I want to be able to take this learning in, increase my skill, and be able to make myself more valuable to my employer, as well as maybe even be able to do my own thing one day, or maybe be able to bring my skills to somewhere else that's useful too. But it's just really being in an environment and being around a group of people that really encouraged me to grow, and it's really been a great experience. And it's just one of the things that I realized at that time, it's okay to focus on that, because now that I got the budgeting out the way, I know that I'm able to float my bills. The interesting thing about that, though, being able to float the bills, is like, looking at it in hindsight, that was okay for that moment, but it doesn't mean that I needed to put my financial journey on hold. It's just today, I would say that looking back on that, that wasn't a terrible decision, just simply because skills is something that's super valuable to have, because people actually pay you for your time for a reason, because that skill is valuable, and you can make a lot more money using that skill directly yourself as either an independent contractor or for a business, because there's no middleman or other things to take care of or for that money to go before it just goes to you for meeting a need for that skill. A few months into the job, and this was around the 2022 timeline. So a few months in, we were noticing, at least I was noticing, that we weren't really going in the office, and that makes sense because around the world, the COVID numbers were still rising, and it just wasn't making sense to have people come back in the office. And I ended up taking a road trip back down from Boston to Dallas because we were just mainly working remote, and I just wanted to be able to see my family. So my dad came up and flew up there, came with me, and we took my Tesla Model 3 all the way from Boston to Dallas at the time because it just was an interesting experience I never had to do before. And don't get me wrong, it was pretty fun. It took about 30 hours, but that's not really the real meat of the story here. The interesting thing was when I got back home and was working remote there for a while, I just realized how much better my quality of life was just being at my parents' house, being able to see my brother, being able to see familiar faces, familiar friends, and just realizing that if I'm going back to Boston, then I would have to go back to this life where I don't even go in the office. I'm just literally on my computer 8 hours a day and in my living room because I didn't even bother to get a desk, doing meetings there, coding up there, and just kind of living a life where I just never really left my apartment. And it was one of the things that I was just realizing for myself that this is not something I really want to just continue to go back to, that where I'm just living by myself, no friends in that area, and just working remotely in that space. It's like, why am I out there? They told me I'm out there because I'm about to go back in the office, and I'm just out there paying more expensive rent to be on a computer when I could have been doing that from home where I live at. So this was around the time that I just decided to talk with my employer, my manager, and just ask and plead my cases like, look, y'all told me we're going back in the office, and this is 2022. I can't fault you that we haven't gone back in the office, but I'm just asking you, could I please relocate back to where I live? Because it's just kind of hard socially to be somewhere that's not familiar, and I can't make new friends due to these circumstances. Fortunately for me, they did let me move back to Dallas, and this was like where my thought process really changed, because now it was more like, well, if I was having to spend all this money over in Boston, now I'm in Dallas and I don't have to do that anymore. The cost of living is not really as much. I should use this opportunity to get myself ahead. And one of the first things I was thinking about to do that is like, I don't want to rent anymore. So I moved back in with my parents, and the first thing I started to do was to go ahead and look for opportunities to get my first rental property. And I wouldn't even say rental property, but my first property in general to really live in. But I'm thinking about it as an investment, meaning that it would be a rental property down the line. And that was really one of the key pivotal moments for me, as in my second move financially, to make myself be in a better position. Definitely looking forward to getting into more details about that real estate purchase for me, since it was my first time doing it. And obviously I made some mistakes, but then there were some winnings from that as well. And just really looking forward to getting into that with you guys next week. But as usual, I really appreciate any feedback, and thank you for watching this video. And I'm definitely looking forward to seeing y'all next week. Peace out.